All right, how's it going, everybody? Jason Clark here, eXp Realty. Welcome to Red State Relocate. Hey, we have a great guest today, Seth Horst out of Keller Williams Coeur, coming from Coeur, Idaho. Going to talk to all of us about what it's like to live, work, play, as we say, in Coeur d'Alene. So Seth has a really, really amazing YouTube channel called what I got the Residing in North Idaho, right? I like that. Great, great.
Yeah, that's
So
correct.
it's
Yep.
not just living, right? It's there's a lot of living in. Yours is residing in, and
Yeah.
so welcome to Red State Relocate, Seth. Appreciate you being
Thank
on the
you.
show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. Full disclosure, living in North Idaho was already taken, so we
Gotcha.
we had to find a synonym of that word, and that's how we ended up with residing. So, yeah, that's the name right there. But
No, good.
it's funny. The Red State Relocate. I mean, it doesn't get any more red than North Idaho, in my
Man,
opinion.
y'all are red is red, and I love it. I got to say, one of the first videos I saw of you, and this is why I wanted to have you on. There's not a lot of real estate agents out there that are doing what we're doing, and that's being upfront and open about our political beliefs. And I really respect that about you. That's why I wanted to have you on. One of the things I guess pushback I get, and it's something in one of your videos I highly recommend people watch, is you talk a lot about Idaho, and Californians get a bad rap. I move a lot of Californians all over, move people, a lot of fire and police to Coeur d'Alene. They
Yep.
blame Californians, right, for you're turning us blue, right? Texas and Colorado. And you made a good point when your videos. It's a point I make all the time that the majority of people moving there are Republicans, right? Vast majority.
Yeah.
That's why they're moving to places like Idaho. So, what's been your experience here with moving folks, and what you get? Because I understand you're from California as well. Your
Correct.
experience moving there, and being a Californian moving to this place where you may not feel so welcome.
Yeah, good question. That does come up a lot. So I'm not born and raised from California, but I've lived there the last 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in law enforcement in California. So I was California Highway Patrol for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Retired early, and then we moved up here in 2020 when things were getting stupid back there. So we came here for the reasons of finding freedom, raising our kids in a place that kind of feels like a step back in time, right? It feels like 20, 30 years ago. It feels like when I grew up, old values. You can let your kids walk around on the street. There's no homeless people here for the most part. Literally one or two in Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene's not that small of a city. I mean, it's 50,000.
Wow.
The general metro area here, including the other couple of cities nearby, 150 to 200,000. So not that small. And to have a community that size with no homeless people, it's clean. There's no graffiti. There's very little gang activity. That was the big draw for us, and that's a big draw for a lot of the people that find us on YouTube. They're looking for that. They're fleeing a lot of these other states to try to find that. And to be honest, to kind of circle back to the original question, yeah, we get some pushback here from locals, but 90% of the people that you meet here are from somewhere else, not just California, right? But lots of other states in the U.S., and they came here for the same reason. So
Mm-hmm.
in reality, you'll get a little bit of that, and there's some vocal groups up here that don't like other people moving here, of course, and honestly for good reason, right? Home prices have gone up quite a bit. It's hard for locals to buy homes here, so I understand. But for the most part, it's an extremely welcoming community. And like I said, and that the reason for that is most of these people are from somewhere else anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, so that shouldn't be a reason to stop. I'll say anybody from going there for sure.
Right. No. And I am, thankfully you're a Red State channel, a Red State Relocate channel, right? So obviously our political views probably align. I'm not shy about telling people on our YouTube channel that, like, hey, don't come here and try to change a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That will piss people off for sure. Like this area is the way it is because of the politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to look at these other very blue cities, even near here, Spokane, Washington's 30 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like every other big blue city, right? It's overrun with homeless people. It's disgusting. There's needles everywhere, people pooping on the streets. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's 30 miles away.
Yep.
So that shows you right there, the politics are important. Maintaining the values that's very important. So I tell people all the time, like, hey, don't come here. to change anything. If you want to come here and live this lifestyle and integrate yourself into the community and be a valuable member of this community, go for it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to come here and start voting blue and doing all the dumb, like the woke shit, it's not going to fly here.
Yeah.
Pardon my language. I don't know if I can swear on this podcast.
It's
That's how I roll. Okay. All right.
Come on, we're grown-ups here for sure. Yeah. And look, you're gonna attract, especially for this video, a lot of law enforcement, fire types. So I'm sure they're comfortable with the language, no doubt.
I imagine, right? I came from that world,
and
that is.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that's like our niche. My real estate team, our niche up here is first responders and veterans, right? Everybody on our team is from that world in one way or another. And most of the people that call us are from that world because our values align, and it's an easy conversation. So, we welcome that crowd here, and those people, they're not moving here to change it. They're coming here for the same reasons. Like, hey, it's clean, it's safe. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. And like I said, I've helped a lot of fire and police, or fire police. It seems. Oh, yeah. What is it about Coeur d'Alene? It's such a trip that really attracts that like retiree, right? They're cashing out, they're getting their pension, they're saying I'm out of California, and it just seems like Coeur d'Alene is like there's. It's no wonder there's not a lot of homeless and probably not a lot of crime because everybody's a former cop. Right. I mean? So
there is truth to that, man.
Crime in that town.
You are spot on because, and I say this all the time in my videos, I firmly believe that North Idaho is the largest concentration of retired first responders and veterans than anywhere else in the U.S. I'll stand by that. I'm pretty sure that's damn accurate because just about every other person you meet here is like, oh yeah, I'm a retired cop from wherever, LA, wherever, it doesn't matter. And it's been going on since the 70s. Like LAPD, I've heard that they call it LAPD North up here because they started moving here in the 70s. Word got out. Everybody hears it's a beautiful place. These guys move up here, they buy 5 acres, build a shop, have a tractor. They're like living the dream in the woods. That's what they're looking for. So super common. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Bozeman not too far. I actually just did an interview with an agent out of Missoula. So, you got Spokane on one side, that's all blue. Missoula is really blue, she's talking about. Then you got Bozeman, which was joking about it. They call it Bose Angeles, because so many, Southern California. A lot of the celebrities moved up there, back in the, I think Tom Cruise has a big property up there. But yeah, so, culture, way of life, and you're big on your channel, it seems anyway, some of the videos I watched, real big Second Amendment advocate up there. It seems to be. So I'm sure you're getting the retired cop and the, that type firefighter, people that are already open to that. But the culture there, if somebody, is looking to move out there, because I'll say the people watching this channel, at least looking at my data, is typically the retiree, older male, and they're coming from blue states, right? So even though they may be conservative, they're not used to gun culture, right? They, may not be a police officer. It might be someone like myself considering a place like that. So with that in mind, just the Second Amendment piece, I'll say, what's that like up there in North Idaho? I mean, I'm sure it's much more welcome, but what could people expect, I'll say, in terms of the gun culture there?
Yeah, it's very prevalent, right? And I think a function of that is that it's a lot of retired cops and veterans who are comfortable with firearms. Idaho is an extremely Second Amendment friendly state, right? We have very few restrictions on firearms up here. You can carry concealed without a permit, which blows people's minds a lot of times. So
that's the constitutional carry, they call it, right? It is,
correct. Yeah. So as long as you can lawfully possess a firearm, you can carry one up here, and you can carry it concealed if you want. So that's a big draw for people. You can also open carry a firearm here, and there's mixed opinions on that. As a former cop, I don't do it because I think it's always better to keep it concealed and not, show what you're carrying. But people are more than welcome to do it up here. And if you move here from a state where you're not used to that, that will surprise you. And then it's not so common. It's occasionally you'll see somebody open carrying a firearm. Yeah. But that's something to keep in mind. If you're coming from another state and you're like, oh, it'll catch you off guard the first time you see someone carrying a pistol on their hip or slinging a long gun, at the grocery store. It's like, all right. Yeah. But, for the most part, people up here, they, seek out outside training. So even if they're not from the first responder, veteran world, there's plenty of firearms classes up here that you can find and take, even for beginners with guns, so you can get comfortable with them and then learn how to carry safely.
Gotcha. Now, a big hunting culture up there, I would guess.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge hunting culture. Idaho is 60% public land. So it is extremely easy to find public land where you can go hunt, do whatever you want, recreate on. Within 10 minutes of Coeur d'Alene, you can hit the Coeur d'Alene National Forest, and that will take you all the way to Montana on back roads if you want. Right. So it's very accessible up here. So it's another huge benefit to North Idaho.
Yeah. Okay. Now, a little sidebar here. Probably not related real estate. It's always a question I have. I actually live in Las Vegas. I live downtown Las Vegas. I walk to work, and I'm walking by. I call it walking the gauntlet, man, because I say I got to keep my head on a swivel. There's a lot of trouble down here. We have the jail right. I can see it right here. When these guys get kicked out the jail, well, they end up in my backyard here, right? So something I had been considering is that non-lethal. I think it's called the Byrna. Is that right? It's a non-lethal, like a pellet type firearm.
Oh, does it shoot? I don't know that one. Does it shoot like a pepper spray type thing, or is it?
Yeah. So it's like a pepper spray or just like a ball. And I was considering that. I thought, hey, you know what? If I got some homeless person or a junkie, or just somebody that's mentally ill coming to kind of attack me or confront me, I don't want to shoot him and kill him, right? I mean, that's like,
right.
Because now we got the cops involved. I'm going to court. But I thought, hey, a little pepper ball to the chest will probably get him away, and I can walk my way onto work. I didn't know if you had any experience with non-lethal options in terms of, because people go from having nothing in a blue city, in a blue state, to now, boom, they can carry ARs and all this. And maybe there's a little bit of a middle ground for them to say, hey, there's some non-lethal options to protect yourself.
Right. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in having something other than lethal force. Right. In my experience as a cop, I have really mixed usefulness as far as like pepper spray or tasers, because you can get some civilian models of tasers as well. Mm-hmm. That would probably be more effective than like a pepper ball or something like that. Pepper spray is really hit or miss. And if you get someone that is really high on drugs, it sometimes has no effect on them at all. So now a taser, if you get a good connection with the probes, like it will have an effect on anybody. So I would probably edge that route if I were to go some type of intermediate level of force. I coach jujitsu as well. So I'm a big fan of being comfortable with, going hands-on with somebody. I think that's a very important skill to have. Obviously it's not doable for everybody, depending on health, any disabilities, things like that. But if you are able to do that is another thing that I would kind of pursue as well.
Okay. No, that's good. And that kind of gets to that North Idaho, that culture, the individualism, right? The individuality, taking ownership of your own safety, right? I hadn't even thought of that, but I would assume you tell us, but the culture there's going to be one that's not only just firearm related, but right, training yourself to protect yourself, your family, and maybe not only from people but from animals as well, right? So,
right, yeah, there's a strong culture of that up here. Obviously, not everybody, right? It's a pretty normal community, I would say as well, but there is a strong culture. There's a strong prepping culture, not like the tinfoil hat weird people, but people that are taking reasonable steps to protect their family in case something happens, the power grid goes down, whatever. There are also the tinfoil hat people up here, but they're probably everywhere. Kind of a small minority of them. So that culture is strong here. You'll hear it a lot. People are just exactly like you said, right? Taking their safety into their own hands. And honestly, as a former cop, like I can tell the public that pretty much everybody should do that, because there comes a time, and it could be a natural disaster, it could whatever. Maybe the Russians come running over the border. I don't know, but you need to be able to take care of yourself. If you're going to rely on the government in that situation, good luck, because they get overwhelmed really quickly, and then there's no one to come when you call. I've seen it happen in wildfires. I've seen it happen in floods in California. So that is it's a reality, and I think people up here probably take that a little more to heart.
Gotcha. Yeah, that always surprises me of California. California being such a large state, we are the number one state for natural disasters, right? There are more natural disasters in California. And you would think the culture of California would be one that assumes that kind of ideology of protecting yourself, but they don't. They continue to rely on the government over and over and over again. And, then they find themselves again, fires, floods, everything, right? Mudslides, roads being washed out. It's crazy here. So yeah, I miss California. I'm not gonna lie, man. I miss it a lot, which maybe gets me into
What
my
do you
next
miss about?
question.
What do you miss about it?
I miss the weather, man. I miss the weather. I was from Northern California, born and raised San
Yeah.
Jose. San Jose's got the most beautiful weather on the planet. I miss the food, the wine. Like I'm a motorcycle guy, so it's nice to go for a motorcycle ride and not have a thunderstorm, bang on your head, every time. I used to live in Colorado. I lived in Denver, and every time we went for a ride, it was like we were getting wet, So I do. I miss the state, but I don't miss the political culture there. A lot of the ideology there.
Yeah.
But a lot of California is red too. You got the Central Valley, very, very red. It's when Larry Elder, I talk about this in my videos. When Larry Elder did the recall of Newsom, the counties that he won went from Bakersfield to the Oregon border. You could drive from Bakersfield to Oregon and go through nothing but counties that Larry Elder won. And so a lot of the ideology is just in San Francisco, LA, Sacramento, kind of the major cities.
Yeah.
So, we always say if states went to an electoral college type of system, it'd be a whole different story. If counties were weighted, it would be a whole different thing. So, but yeah, like we know a lot of people are moving to Coeur d'Alene. Beautiful, gorgeous rides, great place to retire, great community. For yourself, coming from California, what were some of the things that caught you off guard, or maybe some cons that you hadn't considered, and you're saying, "Oh man, I wish I had known that before." Maybe it wouldn't have stopped you, but was something that you maybe hadn't considered.
Yeah, I did pretty well here. I grew up in the northeast of the U.S. and the winters there were harsh. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll speak for the comments I hear mostly from other people, and probably the weather is one of the bigger ones. Most people, they should be aware that it does snow here. It's not an insane amount of snow. We on average about 42 inches a year. And oftentimes we'll get 3 or 4 inches and it will melt off. So it's not like a consistent heavy snow year throughout the wintertime. But probably one of the bigger factors is the days are very short, and there are long periods of cloudiness. So
Gotcha.
I think that's where most people struggle is like, January, February, March, those tend to be the cloudier days. It's overcast a lot, and the days are very short, like 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the amount of daylight, right?
Yeah, you're so far up
now,
in the hemisphere there, yeah.
Right. On the flip side, summertime, it's light at 4 in the morning and it stays light until 10 p.m. So,
nice.
Yeah, it makes up for it there. You just got to get through the long winters.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest complaint we hear. Other than that, it's a really good community. Depending on where people come from, I've heard of a few people coming from bigger metropolitan areas in other states that feel like it's too slow of a way of life here. My days are incredibly busy, so I don't get that at all, right? But I think it depends on how much you integrate yourself into the community and what activities you choose to do. And some of that's on you. So if you come up here and you're like, "Oh, it's boring," well, go out and do some shit. Like there's plenty of stuff to do here. That's on you.
Yeah, that's what we always say. We're like, no matter where you move, if you're bored, that's your problem. Yeah. It's your own fault.
That's your problem.
Yeah. Too many people stay inside, Except for you watching this video, of course. They're watching the video on YouTube. But you said you moved up in 2020. Now, I remember 2020. I was having trouble moving people to Coeur d'Alene. I could not find an agent. I had people that wanted to move up there. I would call agents and they were saying, "Man, I can't take any more clients." It was multiple offer situations on houses, 10, 15 offers, crazy. Since
it was crazy,
we've come off of that. What's it like now? If somebody's living, no matter where they are, they're sitting in a blue city right now, and they're thinking of Coeur d'Alene, what are their chances here? What's it going to look like? I'll say when they want to purchase a home, come through you. What's that going to be like?
It's normalized quite a bit since that time. That was a crazy time. It was gross. I was a realtor here right away, so I lived a little bit of that. And nobody likes multiple offer situations. I mean, it's stressful for everybody. So to see that kind of go away was a good thing. The lasting effect is that we saw a big jump in home prices here. I mean, they were up like 40%, and they've pretty much stayed about that. I mean, they came down a little bit last year, but so home prices are high. But it's kind of right on the cusp of switching to a buyer's market up here, which,
Really?
it feels a little bit more normal, which is nice.
Okay.
We still have a ton of buying pressure. I mean, I literally get calls or emails almost every single day from someone looking to move here because, they're tired of the BS wherever they're from. So that buying pressure's here. Now we've seen a couple of multiple offer situations this year. Our team, I'm speaking for, but generally it's only when the house is already priced to sell. Like they know they're going to do it and get that. For the most part, we're seeing homes sit on the market a little bit longer. Average days on the market up here is like 80 days.
Oh, wow.
So it's,
okay.
so things are sitting. Now, like I said, if they're priced well, they'll move quick. And if they're generally under that $500,000 mark, they're going to move quick too.
That's going to go fast.
Things over $1 million, they tend to sit a little bit. So it kind of depends on the price range a little bit too.
Okay. No, that's good to know. I was saying, those of you watching, you're thinking about it. And I know a lot of people, myself included, I was looking at a whole lot of different places during COVID myself. And was just man, I just don't want to end up in that situation. I was in East Tennessee. I was like, that's a little crazy over there. I was looking at CDA as well. I thought, hey man, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's like,
cool.
I just don't want to compete.
No, it's not crazy right now, but people need to be realistic too, because home prices are not cheap here. I get calls sometimes and they'll be like, hey, I want 10 acres. I want a 3,000 square foot house with a view. I got $250,000. I'm like, that ain't here, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know where you can get that. Maybe Arkansas. I got no idea.
Not probably Arkansas. Actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
land, put a yurt on it.
My advice to people is like, if you're thinking about this area, get online, just look at a few properties so you can kind of understand what budget you need to work with up here. The cheaper new homes up here, like new construction, is in the low to mid 400s. That's for like a 3-bed, 2-bath, 15 to 1,800 square feet. So, and that's on no acreage. Now, if you want land and a house, you're 700,000 plus.
Yeah, it's on that low end. That's good for somebody retiring, right? Downside. Selling the house. Boom. Perfect. A little 3-bed, single story.
Right.
Might be good. No,
absolutely.
That'd be good for someone like that.
There are options here for sure. I just like to give people a heads up.
Well, I'm sure people move. I know for myself, I want the acreage, right? I want the. I want a dog to let it run around. Have some fun. It's like, why are you going to move to Idaho if you can have some property, right? But
right, that tends to be. That tends to be for the most part. I take that back. I say it's a mix right now. We're getting a lot of families move up here, and a lot of them want to be in those really family-friendly neighborhoods, where there's other kids right on the same street. And there are some great neighborhoods up here that kind of suit that as well. So, and those are going to be for, a 4-bed or something, you're going to be in the $500,000 to $600,000 range for like a nice house. So, it's an interesting mix that we're seeing right now.
I'm going to say Las Vegas, our median house price is like $450,000 or $460,000 right now. So we're not far, right? Not far off. You can live in the desert, or you can go up, somewhere. This is a wild town. Las Vegas is.
I would take Coeur d'Alene myself, but that's just me. I like the woods.
Yeah, you like Motley Crue. What do you call it? Walking on the wild side. That's Vegas. CDA is definitely going to be a good place to chill, raise your kids. Which brings up my next point for children, kids. Now, do you have children yourself?
I do, yeah. Got 2 kids.
That brings up the school systems. I tell people all the time, get your kids, and all you watching in California, get your kids out of the government-run schools. I don't call them public schools. They're government-run schools. I say at minimum, private school them. At best, homeschool your kids. So talk about, but if you have good public school systems, now, in Coeur d'Alene, how are the public schools? If somebody wants to move up there, they got a good shot at their kid actually learning something up there?
Yeah, for the most part, the public schools are really good up here. There's a couple that are like, not the best. They get lower ratings or whatever. But for the most part, they're good. You're not seeing a lot of the woke bullshit that you're seeing in other states up here. Like it's just not. It's not flying, which is good. I personally, my kids go to private school. Like you said, I want to know for a fact that, there's a boys' bathroom and a girls' bathroom, and that's it. Like none of that. There's no litter boxes. There's none of that bullshit. that's important to me, right? And it's important my kids are raised that way. So, yeah, my kids go to private school. Homeschool is huge up here, huge, and it's very good. Like there are a lot of, they call them homeschool co-ops, where these families can get together and the kids socialize, and then another teacher might take over from mom or dad, so they get a break. So that's big. There's a lot of faith-based schools up here as well. So there's a good mix of options for people.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
that's what it's about. And I even say, it's you're lucky. I'll say too that because you have that culture up there where it's fairly conservative. Your public schools are good. Even in red states, in red cities. I don't know if you saw recently was Edmond, Oklahoma, which I actually helped a lady move to Edmond. Their public school system is where they had those kids sucking on the toes of their teachers. They were sucking peanut butter. It was disgusting. It was vile. It had been going on for a long time. And it was some sort of challenge, some sort of thing. And they got teachers in a red, it don't get much redder in Oklahoma, having their students lick peanut butter out of their toes. It was vile and disgusting, So I am like, get your kids out of government-run schools, people. Can you believe it?
I feel like someone needs to go to jail in that situation, right? Something's going on. That's weird.
Yeah, I remember
there's no world that
the local rep, the House rep there, he made a comment about he's going to look into it and make sure that this doesn't happen anymore or something. And I was like, sounded like he was saying like, wait, this has been going on for a long time, and come to find out it had. So yeah, for those of you watching, look, I know you're thinking you're moving to a red state, red city, and you're thinking, public schools are going to be great. They're still run by a lot of these whack jobs, man. So do your homework for sure. It was goodschools.com, I believe it is. So you got the ratings, all that stuff. But man, look, if you're coming from California, Denver, New York, if you're selling your property, you get a little extra coin. Like I said, private school your kids and public school.
100%.
Got to do it. Got to do it. Now, to kind of wrap up, to kind of, come to in here, I don't want to take all your time. I appreciate you taking the time that you did. But, is there anything I'll say that we didn't cover about Coeur d'Alene that you'd like to make sure people know about? That way when they call me and say, hey, Jason, man, I want to get up there, I'm going to connect them up with you. What else should they know?
Yeah, I think the thing that really gets me with this town, visually, it's a very appealing area, right? If you've ever been to Coeur d'Alene, it's a beautiful city. It's designed well. It's good. The architecture, everything's really nice. It's clean. No homeless people, like I said. So, the visual side is great. The mountains, the trees, the lakes up here are crystal clear water. It's phenomenal. The biggest draw for me is the community. And I just keep bumping into the coolest people up here, and they're from all over the US. Very welcoming, very like-minded, just people that want to raise their families in a good place and want to enjoy the outdoors, and, kind of want to be left alone and left out all that BS that's going on in Washington. So that's the side to me that is the most appealing. And I think that's, people that are looking at this area, they don't even know about that, right? You don't get that from watching a video. You get that from talking to somebody that lives in the community. So, that's what I tell people when they're thinking about moving up here, and I have these conversations on the phone or on Zoom, it's like, all right, here's what the community's like. So when you come up here, get into the community, get involved, go out and vote, make sure you're voting the right way for sure, or don't come here. But go out and vote, because it's important that we keep it this way. Nothing is more important than that. And to circle back to getting pushback for me, I get pushback for doing interviews and being on videos because people don't want other people to know about this area. And what I tell them is hey, the secret's been out. It's too late. It's been out for years. I'm not telling anybody anything new. What I am trying to do is make sure we attract the right people.
Exactly. Yep.
The right people, right? So it's because I don't want to change. I live here. My kids live here. I'm not going anywhere. So, if you're coming here with liberal policies in mind, no one's going to hate on you, but don't come here.
Yeah.
Just it's that simple. You probably won't like it. You probably won't like it. Yeah, it's scary. You'll see Trump flags and it'll freak you out. You won't like it. And there's guns. That's scary too. Right. So, but luckily your audience is not that type of person, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah,
but I do like to
I move the good ones. People get upset about California. They go, but just at the name of my channel of what I do, that eliminates everybody.
They're not going to even touch it.
Yeah, I still get.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. It's like, it's like, whatever.
Me too.
And I actually got a death threat from a conservative guy. He was a
Really?
Republican dude out of Ohio. Yeah, he was mad because we're moving Californians to Ohio.
Yes.
So
See, I get these same comments. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It hurts, man. I get people saying some
Yeah.
nasty shit to me, but I carry a gun every day, and I train jujitsu, so it's like I'm doing everything I can do to protect myself. I guess that's what it is. I think most of these people are just little internet trolls that like to, talk shit behind a keyboard, but in reality,
you'll never see them. We're talking about Idaho in general. I mean, Idaho, like we talked earlier when we opened up. I mean, it's attracting that Republican, voter. I talked about in one of my videos here. Although Idaho has the same style, I talked about Texas and how Texas was very, very anti-Californian, right? Especially during COVID, and it's been like that for a long time. And they're just, don't move here, Californians, we don't want you. And that gets under my skin, as someone who's, my job is to help people get out of these terrible, terrible situations that they're living in, right? Especially when we see what their kids are being taught, how their businesses are being treated. And, they're looking to places like Texas. And Texas is giving them the middle finger, and so they're saying, well, maybe I'll go somewhere else. And I talk about Florida all the time. I go, Florida during COVID was one of the most welcoming states, right? DeSantis said, hey, man, you want freedom, you want your business to be open, kids go to school, come here. And now Florida is one of the reddest states in the country. It was a 300,000+ Democrat voter advantage pre-COVID. It's almost 1 million Republican voter advantage right now. I mean, they blew it out of the water. Like, Joe Biden will not campaign in Florida. He'll go down there to grab some money, but he ain't. It's done. And Texas, on the other hand, took the opposite approach and said, don't come here. We don't want you. And I say now, they got Colin Allred running up against Ted Cruz right now for the Senate. And he might win. He might beat Ted Cruz. So you might have a Democrat senator, right? And I'm thinking, how many conservative valued Republican people would have moved to Texas, but didn't because their approach was so, anti, quote, Californian, And I'll say, and I talked about it too. I said, Idaho, you're lucky because you're so red right now, but you've got Boise. You got that Democrat.
Right.
And Boise.
There is a risk, right?
It only takes that little cancer cell to start to spread. And so that's definitely for all you Idahoans up there. Keep an eye on that. And like I say, start being a little more welcoming to the people that you're going to need to keep you red. I bet Texas right now wishes they had a couple 100,000, a couple million, Republican conservative voters in their state. Colin Allred wouldn't be giving Ted Cruz, a run for his money. Now, Ted Cruz he's lucky because he's got Donald Trump on the ballot, right, coming up. So that's might.
I can't believe Texas is going that route, and Montana too, to some extent. I hear these things. I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. This is why I say it's like, man, it is important when you get there. Don't take it for granted that it's always going to be that way. You need to vote correctly. You need to pay attention on who's getting into office in your local elections because that's the biggest deal. Yep. Man, yeah. Whew. Scary stuff right there.
Isn't it something? So yeah, like I said, for all those Idaho people up there, all over, it's like, and this is why I love channels like yours. What I'm doing, I think we need so many more real estate agents out there that are open about our political opinions and our beliefs, that we want to help people get out of these terrible, terrible cities, get them moved to places like Idaho, Texas, Florida. I bet Colorado wishes they could have a couple 100,000 California Republicans. There's more Californians voted for Donald Trump than Texans did. So there's a lot of wasted votes in California. You know what I mean? So
that is crazy.
So, there's Tim and Julie Harris. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're the real estate coaches. They always talk about being Republicrats. They go, oh no, be a Republicrat, right? For your business, you don't want to take sides. I go, it's time to start taking sides. It's time. Our country is at that place now where we're drawing lines now. It's unfortunate. I say all the time, I wish my business did not exist. I wish there was no need for Red State Relocate. I would love to be a Republicrat.
Right.
But half this country needs us. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And I always tell people too, like, I'm not super far right wing. Like I don't think most people are. I think most people are in the middle. Corporate media is telling us to believe these two loud sides and driving a wedge in between. But I think most people, if I sat down with a liberal, like I could have a conversation.
You'd agree on 80%
and find common ground.
Yeah.
I imagine, right? And it's important people don't forget that, right? So I do think about that. I need to tell you something why Idaho is so great, because this just happened, I think, yesterday. The Idaho State Senate, I guess, they voted on this and they made it clear in the law what a man and woman is. They defined it in the law, and there's no in between.
There you go.
They also made it illegal to force someone to use gender pronouns. So
there you go.
Idaho, these little steps are important, right?
Yeah, they're not going to
kind of set that bar. Yeah, get ahead of it. Like, no, this is not going to happen in our state. We're not going to lose our minds like everybody else.
Yeah.
So
that was Jordan Peterson, right? That was his big push in Canada. That he was like, no, they're forcing me to say or not say things, and that's what was upsetting him, right? So forcing the pronouns.
Oh yeah. If someone sends me an email and it has their gender pronoun at the bottom, you're gone. I don't care who you are. Like, I'm not even going to deal with you. That is stupid. I refuse to do that. Because it happens, you'll get like a lender reach out or something. And it's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then they've got they, them at the bottom. I'm like, yeah, fuck off. We're done.
Yeah. They did that study too. There was a full on study, right? There was where they had interviewed or polled or whatever, a whole bunch of CEOs and said, if there was pronouns in the bio, would you hire? And they were like, likely not. Likely not.
Yeah.
They're like, they're going to be
a headache.
They're going to probably sue me. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to be walking on eggshells. That's like, it's not worth it. So look, I'm from the Bay Area. I'm San Francisco. I worked in San Francisco for 8 years. I'm like, look, if you want to be called Steve, I'll call you Steve. I've worked with transsexual people before. It didn't bother me. It was like, there was a guy where I worked at. He was a big, tall black guy, man. He was huge. He was a strong guy. Wore a dress, long hair, makeup, nicest guy. But we referred to him as his female name. That's fine. I didn't mind. He's a great guy. I'm like, fine, that's who you are. Great. But if it's going to start turning into now I have to adjust my life, for what you choose, that's your choice and that's your life and that's who you are. Great. I respect that. But now I've got, my life. And
fully agree.
Yeah. That's where that's where Idaho's saying, hey, we're not going to force them speech police on people. So
which is huge. Yeah.
What they want to do,
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't care if someone's gay. I don't care what color you are. I don't care about any of that. But don't force it on me. And we're good. I think it's a very libertarian viewpoint that I have on things. I really don't care how people live their lives at all.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I said. That's why I think
as long as you're not hurting anyone else, right?
Yeah, that's why
as long as you're not hurting anyone else, do whatever you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a dude and you have a penis and you're going to go in the bathroom that my daughter's using, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, we got a problem. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
And I don't think that's unreasonable. That's completely reasonable. So I do draw that hard line.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. We'll see if anybody. Well, like I said, now that a lot of the red states are getting redder, and a lot of the blue states are getting bluer, and so we're starting to see that division in the country, and so which I think honestly, I think it's a good thing. I'm just going to be upfront. I think it's great. It gives people a choice now. Right now, you can choose where you want to be. And North Idaho. Hey, when you move up there, you know what you're getting into. You know what your community is going to be like, and sounds dang good to me, man. I mean, I like it. So and I don't mind the cold
it's
weather.
Good living.
Yeah.
But hey, if you want to live and dodge needles and human shit on the street, then go to San Francisco. It's fine. I don't judge. Do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I'm not gonna do that.
San Francisco is a dying city. People talk about where they want to live. I go. It's a big reason why I came to Las Vegas. Las Vegas, like I said, Las Vegas is crazy town, but it's growing. There's energy here. It's on the come up, and people that live here, like Idaho, get upset because so many people are moving here. I go, you want to be okay. You want to be, and this goes to a lot of people in Coeur d'Alene. You want to be where people are moving. Yeah, it's getting more expensive and things, but believe me, spend one weekend in San Francisco, and you will see what it's like to be in a city that's dying. And you do not want to live there. You do not want to.
Right.
A weekend is too long. And it hurts my heart because San Francisco is my city, man. I worked there for 8 years. I love it.
It's cool.
It was liberal and crazy. Cool. Well, fine. But it was a beautiful city. And the liberal people there back in the day weren't as nutty as they are now. They were liberal. What I call liberal, but they're not liberal anymore. They're pretty far progressive kind of, pro censorship.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And, now they're kind of reaping what they sowed. So, but yeah, that's man, thank you, Seth, for taking the time. Hey, anybody out there looking to move to North Idaho, Seth is your guy. We're going to connect you up. Anything else? Anything to close here, Seth?
Just, like our whole real estate team, I do a lot of the content now at this point, and I have other people that help with the transactional side of stuff because I'm just getting too busy. But all of our guys are former or current law enforcement, firefighters, veterans. So, if you're from that niche and you have a hard time trusting people, like, we've got your back. So give us a call up here, and we help clients all the time, and we kill it for them and have their back. Like, we're working a beat together. So
that's good.
That's my plug. Yeah.
That's awesome. Great plug. All right, everybody, you looking to move to CDA? This is your spot. This is your guy. We're going to connect you up.
Yep.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks
Appreciate
for watching. We will see you in the next video. Take care now.